Just dropped off Davey to his dad's. It's been a very long week. So interesting, these Mercury retrogrades and all the other. I think there are other retrogrades that were happening during this time too. I think was there a Saturn retrograde too? And there was something else. Anyways, there's all the things that people talk about, there's going to be technology is going to be all wonky, things are going to be delayed, it's not a good time to really commit heavily to anything unless you really, really take extra time and pay more attention to detail, to make sure that there's, no mess ups in a way, but you need to kind of expect that everything's gonna be kind of fucked up. And then the other telltale sign, or the thing that people talk about with Mercury retrograde, is all the exes start coming back for whatever reason. And but there's this aspect of, I had not really heard from anyone yet, I'm sure there are people out there who talk about this, but parents and their children. My God, I don't think that children are immune to the shifts that are happening in the planets, and I don't think that they're immune either to the shifts that are happening in society, simply because they're children. I do think that children are closer to source and spirit than adults can be, unless you're like a guru, or you regularly practice some sort of thing that helps keep you aligned with your spirit and source energy, I guess. Your being that is not just your body, your physical body. But I've seen that, whenever I see Davey now, for like the past year, I've been having this idea, this thought, feels like an epiphany, that whenever he's going through developmental milestones or growing pains, like either it's growing pains of his physical body or growing pains of his emotional capacity, his psychology, he's maturing in a way. I see it as like he's having some sort of reverse dark night of the soul. Instead of like a dark night of the soul like an adult has, where that means you're awakening to larger concepts of spirit again, you're like coming back home, meaning like you're remembering who you are deep, deep down, which is very much like it shreds apart your ego, some people say. Other people are like, it helps you just see the world differently, and you now can't see the world in any other way other than this very expansive, higher conscious kind of way, which can be very painful. Thus, it's called the dark night of the soul. You're very depressed during this time, very anxious. You feel like, what's even the point anymore of living if this is all an illusion? Well, children, I feel, go through their own kind of dark night of the soul, of them assimilating to becoming human in this human experience. Because it's very clear that you can see that children are born without egos. Children are born definitely with personality types, but they don't really care what others think about anything they do. They'll dance like little crazy people. They'll sing their little hearts out. They'll dress in the craziest ways. Sometimes they don't even wear clothes. And they'll do things that are like, adults would be like, we don't do that. Oh, the shame. Like they're like pulling out their penis. Or they're like pulling on their nipples and just like showing their whole body all the time. And I don't know, showing their butt off all the time. They just do weird shit. Well, they start doing those kinds of things less and less as time continues, as they start to assimilate more to this human experience, and they learn that there are all these rules in order to survive. And now there are varying degrees of how fast that assimilation happens. And, you know, I'm of the belief, just as I saw with my own upbringing, that when you grow up in trauma, or you grow up with heavy shit around you, or maybe you grow up with neglect, or you grow up with abuse, whether it's emotional or physical, you know, all of these things start happening to you as a kid, and you just start to kind of realize, if I keep acting the way that I am, my natural self, I will get hurt. So I need to start suppressing that, and in order to protect myself. And then hopefully when you're much older, you realize that you should never have had to do that in the first place. It wasn't you who was wrong. It was those adults and society that was wrong. So when I see children going through these developmental milestones, their growing pains, I see that what's happening is something to grieve in a way. They're losing their sight of their spirit in order to become the people pleasers, to get along, to play the rules, play by the weird ass rules that, you know, if you go to India, or you go to Cameroon, or you go to Hungary, or you go to, you know, a hunter-gatherer tribe like the Hazda in Tanzania, you go, there are different rules everywhere. You never can get it right. And who makes these rules? None of these rules are usually dictated by the way that Earth is and the animal kingdom. It's more just humans making up these rules. Now, when you get closer to like hunter-gatherer tribes and all that, where there's no philosophy really that exists there. There's no spirituality. There are no politics really. It's just survival. You have to just survive, and so you got to work together. And to survive, you eat what you can. There's no picking and choosing. This is my diet, or I'm very intolerant to this, or oh, I'm an animal activist. Like, no, you just eat whatever's there to survive. Whether it might be some tubers that hopefully you can find when you keep digging up all day, or after several days of hunting, you finally catch a little tiny like bush baby, one of those little like marsupial or primate little things. I forget what they are. Look like a little squirrel. Yeah, and it's like squirrel rat. And you know, I saw that. And so now going back to this whole thing about Mercury retrograde and children not being immune to this either, I feel like this is, you know, the point of what in astrology world, what is talked about during Mercury retrograde is not like, oh, expect shit to hit the fan because, you know, it just, that's it. Like, no, there's a deeper reason. The deeper reason is it's a time for you to have all of like your karma, in a sense, brought to your face, and it doesn't feel good, so that you can try and overcome it, because you've been kind of like pushing it aside, and you're like, I've dealt with it, but not really. Like, this is a time to be like, well, if you're gonna just only half-ass deal with it, it's gonna be shown to you that this stuff needs to be taken care of. They need to be cut out now, or it's just going to continue again. And these Mercury retrogrades happen like 3 times a year, I believe. So it's going to come back with a vengeance again every single Mercury retrograde, and also the pre and post shadow periods of Mercury in retrograde. And then there'll be on top of it all the other planetary stuff of when things go into retrograde or not, or just certain constellations, and, you know, that are the moon transiting through certain parts of certain constellations, blah, 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 or the other planets too. Like, I think right now the moon is in Virgo, and so people might finally feel the need to like feel more inspiration to like clean up house, for instance. Maybe clean up your literal house, your surroundings, like purge, clear, tend to your sanctuary, your home. But also like that will inevitably probably make you go through this idea of like, what shit am I still holding on to that I've not made the time to clear out yet? And that can happen sometimes looking through your paperwork. It can happen through, you know, outside of your home, or like clearing your paperwork, and then you're like, oh, there's stuff I need to deal with. But then there's also stuff outside your home, again, like matters that you tend to, in a holistic sense of taking care of your home, your life. Here, wait. And so all these outside factors too will start to come to the forefront, but you'll feel like you have the energy to deal with it head on. Like for instance, I finally was able to have a meeting, a conference with my lawyer this week. Sorry, I keep looking up here. I forget the camera's down here. I made sure that I had the meeting with my lawyer this week, and I imagine from her end, she's also like, I got to take care of my my working relationship with Grace. We need to catch up. And this is with my lawyer with regards to my child custody case. That my ex-husband is fighting for full custody. So, yeah. And I could even see that my ex-husband finally got himself a lawyer only very recently, and this is when the moon went into Virgo. Finally taking care of his shit, like, I suppose. Or maybe he finally realizes he really needs a lawyer, because he, I don't know what this guy's trying to do, but whatever he's trying to do, he obviously sees that he needs some help now. He needs all kinds of help. So, yeah, I've been watching Davey having a really rough week. I've had a really rough week. Emotionally, we've been at each other's necks, just butting heads about every single thing. And I've taken in all of this as not like, oh, my child is like the worst. Why did I get him as my child? Like, no. And I've not gone into like, Grace, you're such a horrible mother. Sometimes I have gone to that dark place, my trauma thoughts, the voices, that old voices in my head, not like schizophrenic voices, but like, you know, the memories of the shaming of my family or society. You know, Grace, you're just not trying hard enough. You're really a piece of shit. Instead, what was fortunately going through my mind, and I'm so glad I got to speak with my therapist this week as well to kind of like help piece together the facts more rationally versus with only just my devastation or my depression there and my anxiety. It's that I got to have an opportunity of being like, you know, Grace, you know that a shift needs to happen with regards to yours and Davey's dynamic. You know, he's over 6 years old now. He had turned 6 in March. And the summer's finally here, and so technically the school year has ended, even though he didn't go to school for the pandemic kindergarten. But now there's this summer that's ahead of you, and maybe that'll change things up, and there'll be more availability now, and the state's opening up, so people will be less scared to hang out, so you and Davey will have the social part of your life a little bit more handled. But you've also seen that you can't really rely on others to be there for you and Davey in that way of like, you know, having a consistent social part of your life. people have been so, they just come in and out of our lives and just discard us when they don't like where things have gone, or they don't like how I've changed. And, you know, to be honest, if they're not growing, I don't like them either. And I frankly don't want them in my life either. But they're willing to grow up and be mature and take accountability for things, come back in. I'll welcome you with open arms. I'm all about giving second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances as long as you come back better. I'm not a fool. So, oh my God. So that's like my Sagittarius and my Aries speaking. I think my Gemini in me too. But there's like the Scorpio in me that's like kind of like, and the Capricorn that's like, if this is not gonna be beneficial between us, then bye. But the Scorpio sometimes wants to be like, be gone. But I'm like, nah, like, be gone while you're acting a complete fool. Don't even talk to me. I will not acknowledge you. But if you come back better, okay, come on in. I'll feed you. I'll be your best friend. That's like the Scorpio in me too. So I've realized that, you know, it might be time finally that Davey needs to join, like, you know, there are some summer camp programs that are starting up that are free. So because there have been like all these pods and everything around, but they all cost money. And like there have been like, you know, sport things, and they all cost money. And it's just like, I don't got it. It seems, you know, and even if I chant for it, or if I manifest it, you know, I'm not about trying to manifest for those kinds of specific results. I'm more of like, whatever needs to come our way to help us have peace, please come our way. I am more open in that way. Some other interesting things have come my way too as I'm cleaning up house in my heart. You know, I went out of my comfort zone and I reached out to a boudoir photography, or how do you call it? It's a business, to a boudoir business. And because they had popped up on my Facebook with an ad, and they were looking for people to, they were like saying, hey, you could win a spot doing a photo session or a professional photography session. It's a female-run company, and I liked their whole stance of like empowering women. For me, I see it as empowering the divine feminine to heal her wounds from being the distorted feminine, where the masculine in her has had to take over because she's the outside masculines have really done us dirty over the past millennia. And so, and as the divine masculines are healing their own toxicities, you know, this is I'm seeing how much, like, I can't rely on them. I have to rely on the balance I'm making within myself. So I reached out to this boudoir company, told them my story, and why I felt like I deserved a spot, and also how I believe in what their mission is, which is to empower women from all walks of life. They're not just doing like boudoir of like only, I don't know, one body type, and it's very superficial. They dig deeper. They're all about healing of trauma and low self-worth, and oppressive behavior of the patriarchy, misogyny, all of this. And they're very diverse in their clientele, in terms of all different kinds of body types and shapes, and again, people too, like their walks of life. You know, it doesn't only have to be the rich person who can afford that kind of shoot. And so they were offering these spots, and I won a spot. And so and then I was like, okay, well, I have to put down a retainer fee that is refundable, and they're legit. It's not like a scam. And it's so I can show up, because they often will get cancellations from people if nothing is put down up front. And then, they'll refund it back to me, or I can choose to use that for, like, other stuff. Maybe they might, other, like, promotional, or not promotional things, but other, like, products. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't have the money right now, but I've won this spot, so you know what? I'm going to advocate for myself. Fight for myself, yes. And I'm going to reach out to my community through Facebook, tell them my story, tell them how I won a spot, and now I'm hoping to fundraise for this $100. And within the day, it didn't even take, I think, half a day for the funds to be raised. And it was because I believed I deserved it, even though there was a nagging small feeling in me too of, like, grace. But if you don't raise, if no one offers you that money, that means that they don't care about you, they don't believe in you. And I'm like, Grace, stop that. And even if people don't fundraise to me through that Facebook thing, it doesn't mean I don't deserve it. It just means that they couldn't or they wouldn't, and that's not the right place to do it. So try again somewhere else. Go knock on another door, And in the meantime, just be open to this kind of way that you look at life, of, like, however it's gonna come my way, and if it's meant to happen too, it's meant to happen. If it's not meant to happen, that's okay too. That's part of it. It's not because you don't deserve what you want. There's so many, sometimes there are things we think we want, but it's not what we need, and so being open to this, whatever happens, however it goes, I've done what I can, we'll see what happens. But then here the money comes like that, and I was like, okay, I guess this shoot is happening. And so now it's like, today I'm going to work on the rest of the application to book now and pay for the for the retainer refundable fee. And as I finally had dropped off Davey, I'm going to have some time with myself today before I get together with a friend tonight to finally have just some uninterrupted adult conversation without a child demanding of me literally every 5 minutes or less. Really, it feels like every minute of the entire waking day for something, needing all the time, and all the interrupting. And again, going back to what I think is needing to change between Davey and I need to have him up as a part of something now, and I need other adults part of his life. And it seems that as much as I've tried to rely on creating a tribe and a village around me of us, adults that are committed to us as we're committed to them, it just won't stick. So I'm looking forward to that, maybe a camp, and then when school starts, that these adults will be a part of helping with not shaping Davey, but helping to keep him accountable to what growth can look like as he develops his personality from this, like, very raw materials kind of place. And he's got that high energy Aries energy that can get very toxic quick. He's not toxic. He's not that age where you can be toxic, but he becomes volatile and explosive and abusive. And I am the one here, like, taking all of the beatings, and I'm so tired doing that by myself. He needs a team of adults. He also needs a team of kids around him to be able to collaborate with their energies and learn, oh, if I keep acting like this in terms of, doing the whole, what's the word? Like, he can act like a bully sometimes. And he's like, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to do this to you. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to let you do that. That's what, unless you want to be a bully, you know, eventually one day he's not going to live with me and he can choose to be whatever the hell he wants, whether it's a bully or a saint, I don't know, or both. But in the meantime, if we're going to coexist together, I don't take that. That's not okay. Instead, we talk and we find a way to work together. It's a collaboration. We're going to collaborate. I'm willing to work with you, Davey. And, but not everyone's going to be willing to work with him, and he's going to have to learn that too. That's part of life. Not everyone not everyone's going to like you. That's fine. Also, not everyone is going to accept when you act in a shitty way. And you find out through them being like, I'm not going to play with you anymore because you're kind of mean. And it's like, oh shit, I am kind of mean, aren't I? And you know, I've learned that about myself as well, that there are times where, you know, I do have a really rough mouth. I take my Sagittarius blunt truth. I have my Aries Mars that like really makes it kind of like tough love to the max, and I'm like, gah, at times with people that I've lost my patience with them. And but I've, you know, tried to tell them as reasonably as I can at first, like, hey, you can't talk with me like that. We're going to talk this out. And if you're going to keep bothering me, I'm going to strike. And with my words, and really come for you. I'm going to, and don't at me. I just, and it's not how I always want to act. But also, you know, I'm just kind of accepting too that, like, there are no regrets that anyone needs to have about any way they act, even when you've done the worst, shittiest, most horrible stuff in your life, like the unthinkable kind of things. Because at the end of the day, I don't know, the belief I have is, what did you do with that now? What are you doing now? Are you trying to right your wrongs? Or are you not? Are you just trying to keep sweeping that under the rug and not deal with it, and either perpetuate it by like still acting that way, or perpetuate it by not healing through it? And again, to wrap it all up, Mercury Retrograde's gonna bring it back at you, whether you like it or not. And in the tarot world, it's called the Tower moment. Your tower of your life built on such a weak foundation of like just sand, it's going to fall over. I believe that the universe, your soul, intervenes because you're like, I want to have a better life, I want to heal. And it's like, okay, lightning bolt comes crushing and crumbles this tower of your life that you have built on the weak foundation of, you know, just things that don't serve you or humanity. And you gotta rebuild brick by brick, and you choose, what kind of bricks am I going to put again? Am I going to put and where am I going to build it? Am I going to build it on that sand again, that weak foundation? It's up to you. Really, it's up to you. No one's stopping you. You can keep living your shitty life if you want, or you can grow. Really, it's up to you. But it also, on the bigger scheme of things, I feel like there's a point to you acting in these shitty ways. There's a point to me acting in my shitty ways. There's a part of me that's like, I don't want to keep acting like that. I need to find a way to grow through that because I don't like being that kind of person. But there was a reason for all of it. If I look back, hindsight, I see all of the reasons for all the interactions I've had. And again, I regret none of it. And this is coming from someone who was raped, and someone who was molested, someone who grew up with a pedophilic stepfather. All these energies were meant to be in my life. And then for me, when I treated people horribly or like shit, there was a point for me doing that too. It inevitably affected them, and it affected me, And now, maybe they've done something with it, maybe not, whether they consciously think about it or it's subconscious at that point for them. But for me, I'm trying to consciously work through what has come my way. And Mercury Retrograde makes it easier, even though it is brutal. But it makes it easier to see all the stuff that you want to work on. And with Davy, as kids go through this Mercury Retrograde, it's more like you'll see further amplified. Like as an adult around these children, you see how much, in a way, your own toxic behaviors affect your children. And so their toxic behaviors are amplified so that you can have it blaring at you, like they're little mirrors to us, of how you are taking care of this dynamic with the children. As well as I believe that they're going through, their assimilation into Earth as humans. And you have an opportunity there to keep this sanctuary for them of not hiding them from life's pains. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. It's more creating a space for them of like, I want to make sure it is safe to grow up here and figure out who you are. Whether it's the rebellious nature of you, or it's the warrior nature of you, or if it's the like the kind of like intense workaholic nature of you, like very earth sign, or if it's like the creative side of you and you're like a totally out there kook of a child, or you're an artist, or whatever it is, or you're a quiet one who observes. You have an opportunity to see what kind of sanctuary am I creating for my children here, and how am I taking care of our relationship in terms of taking care of me and taking care of them. They both have needs. Are we taking care of this well? Meaning, am I taking care of this well? It's not up to the kid to be like, right now I need some self-care time, and how I'm going to do that is by transmuting my energy in terms of turning my anger into art, or turning my anger into kickboxing. No, you're supposed to be kind of like a part of being accountable of taking care of that, along with hopefully a community of other people to help open your eyes and offer you contrasting information, so that you can have more knowledge as to how to support this next generation of children. But at the end of the day, it's not like because you have some grand plan or scheme for them. It's more like, how can you guys just get along and feel safer on each other until it's time for them to leave the nest? And who knows, maybe you'll continue to have a relationship afterwards or not. But really, that also shouldn't be an expectation. I think that that's an unreasonable expectation. And it's also a toxic one. Saying you owe me a relationship for the rest of until I die or you die, simply because I'm your mom. No. Hell no. Who am I to say that? Yes, I gave birth to you, and I've clothed you, and I fed you, given you shelter, but that doesn't mean I deserve to have a relationship, to get to enjoy a relationship with you for the rest of my days, and that you have to take care of me. No, you have your own stuff to go do in the world. If you want to be around me, I'd love to have you, as long as you don't act like a piece of shit around me, but I'll tell you. But you have your own life to go lead, and I will still love you with all of my heart. And you will have a sanctuary to come and visit with me while you learn about your life away from me. I think that's a very important time in people's lives, to learn who they are away from people. And as I've gotten to enjoy, and I hate admitting it, but as I've gotten to enjoy what it's like to live without a partner for the past year and a half, and just it's only Davey and I in our own home, first time in my life living by myself, really. There was like brief periods of time where I had that for a couple months after my divorce, but then I didn't have the money to sustain living by myself, so I had to move back in with like a shared living situation, whether it was with just friends or it was with partner. Now, and that was while I had Davey too. Now I've just gotten to have my own space, and I've been able to grow and develop so much in ways I could not have expected. And find out how I like my own company too. I've learned to start loving who I am, and also Davey too, you know. Davey, he's affected by me being around him in our space, but I've seen how it's affected him greatly to have it just be him and I in our space instead of another energy in our space. Davey and I feel kind of smothered at that point when there's someone else living with us. We have to be more quiet. We have to be more, I don't know, there have to be so many more rules all of a sudden again and we already have enough rules as it is, having to live in an apartment community where we share walls with people, and I have to constantly tell Davey to watch the way he's walking because he's stomping around, or like how loud he's being in the middle or early in the morning or very late at night, and I don't want to do that shit. Like, I love teaching him about being considerate of others, but like all day, every day, having to tell a little boy to be quiet because of the neighbors, or to not jump around and do his parkour stuff, or to not play our drum set at this hour, to not play our piano at this hour because everyone else is just noise hurts me. But you know what? I have to say, I hate when I hear other people's noises. It pisses me off. But spit out my tea. All right. God, 37 minutes. All right, I'll be done for now. Maybe there was some gold in there for you. I don't know. For me, I needed to just talk. So thank you for giving me company if you listened. I can't wait till I develop more and more a tribe of people that I can talk to like this, where it's like, you know, other than like through the social media thing, this is fun and great, or like through influencing, like through YouTube, and perhaps creating a following. We'll see, you know, whatever happens. At least this is cathartic for me. But and I know there are others like me who are like this, as you know, they're on YouTube and all that. But to actually have people in my community, in terms of my physical community, my space, not in my home though, unless I invite them over to eat, and then they better help clean up. But just, you know, having people who philosophize like I do, along with talking about the earthly shit. You talk about it as well as connecting it holistically with the beyond shit. So thank you. Have I don't know, whatever you do with yourself afterwards. Hope you enjoy it. But hopefully it doesn't hurt others. Bye.